Hello and welcome to Africa Today. I am Esther Mokwariola. In a continent of strong men and weak institutions, the last few decades have seen the advent of a unique kind of politics where the bulk of the problems and solutions boils down to leadership. Between DR Congo, Sudan, and Gabon, recent political discourse have gone from tweets to streets, with unfolding events playing out as signs of political things to come in the course of 2019. And so we ask, what are your thoughts on expectations for African politics in 2019? You can join the conversation and share your thoughts with us on Twitter at TVC News NG. We take a report now, and Africa Today. We'll be right back. Welcome on board.
The announcement of Congo's presidential election result was received with loud cheers from several citizens. Many supporters of Felix Tshisekedi are celebrating his surprise win after waiting for hours for the results.
I have tears in my eyes. We have voted Mr. President. I have nothing to say. No comment.
Tshisekedi est élu président de la République. Nous devons saluer.
Tshisekedi was voted president of the Republic. We must salute the simplicity, the modesty, the humility.
Meanwhile, opposition candidate Martin Fayulu has dismissed the results announced by the Electoral Commission, saying it is an electoral coup.
À tous ceux qui ont pris connaissance de la vérité des urnes.
To all those who learned of the truth of the ballot boxes, especially to the Congo's National Bishops Episcopal Conference and the Church of Congo, through your historical observations, we ask you to reveal to the Congolese people and to the whole world the name of the person who really was our people's choice. We categorically reject the result published by Election Commission President. May God Almighty bless the Congo.
De notre peuple.
Felix Tshisekedi won the election with over 38% of the votes. The result sets the stage for Congo's first democratic transfer of power, but it is also a tense political standoff considering the violence recorded in 2006 and 2011.
Welcome back. Well, Africa began the year with a spotlight on Congo politics, where an election isn't a single decisive event, but just one part of a never-ending struggle to gain and to keep power in the course of a democratic process. Felix Tshisekedi, the flag bearer of the largest opposition party, emerged as the winner in an election that is expected to end Joseph Kabila's 18-year presidency and possibly the first peaceful transition of power amid controversies. Now joining me in the studio on Africa Today, I have Cyril Abaku, African Affairs Analyst. And on Skype, I have Dr. Gnaka, Lagoke, lecturer and founder of the Revival of Pan-Africanism Forum, and he is based in the United States. Good to have you gentlemen on the program tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Great. Now, let me begin with you now, Cyril. Tshisekedi, we understand, is the first opposition leader to win the presidency since the country became independent 50 years ago. But one contender that right now is Martin Fayulu, who isn't really happy about the election results. He is alleging the votes were rigged. Now, what are your thoughts on this unfolding developments and why it is coming up at this time?
I think that one of the guarantees against breakdown of law and order is when there is incontrovertible evidence,
right,
to support or to back a particular claim on whose back the violence is being perpetrated. Police stations have been attacked, people have been killed, there has been a prison breakout and so on. And so tensions are rising. But the fact is that, you see, I think the Congolese electoral management body owes it to its conscience and to the people if they would be willing to release the results, the count, that is, make it open. It's not enough to say Tshisekedi won 38% of the vote, 4 ahead of
we have the figures.
Fayulu.
We have 7 million votes for Tshisekedi, 6.4 for Fayulu, and 4.4 for Shadari. So isn't that enough for,
yeah, well,
for the
it's one thing to talk about the figures,
right,
but I mean, Look at Kenya. In 2007, somebody announced results. It led to massacre. In 2000 and I think last year, right, after Kenyatta won the first round of his second term, they went to court. The court said it's fine that Kenyatta won, but open up your servers. Let us see how the votes came in.
Okay.
That's where the bone of contention is.
So who should be involved in seeing how the votes came in? Is it all the political parties or the candidates themselves?
The Catholic Church, for instance, deployed 40,000 observers across Congo, and they have said that the results do not reflect what their observers collated on the ground. So I think that's a big dent on the process. And so when people within, whistleblowers even within the Electoral Commission are leaking out results to the international media, and the results they're leaking out are tallying more with what Fayulu is bringing out and what the Catholic Church is also bringing out, the preponderance of opinion cannot be so wrong at this time. So I think the election management body owes it to itself. We understand the vagaries and the auguries. For instance, Felix Tshisekedi is the son of Etienne Tshisekedi, who was an avowed opponent of Kabila. But you see, times have also changed. Without imputing and without maligning the person of Felix Tshisekedi, looking at where Congo is today, looking at for how long the elections were postponed and delayed over about 2 years or so, and so on. So whatever they can do now will not be too much for the sake of peace and order. So I think the election body should simply do the needful by saying that this was the figures and this was how we arrived at these figures. I think it will just put pay to all the
point taken there. Let me quickly get to Dr. Gnaka Lagoke. Now, with this incident now where there were rumors that there were talks between Tshisekedi and incumbent President Kabila, which, of course, more or less deepened suspicions among the opposition figures, talking about Martin Fayulu's camp now. How likely do you think the Martin Fayulu camp now can get victory at the courts?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be difficult. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I wanted to commend my brother in the studio. What he just said is very insightful, and then it goes beyond what we're hearing, and I agree with him. And it's going to be difficult in court because not long ago, Kabila removed some people from the court that he did not trust, and he appointed some new people over there. Certainly, because he had anticipated that people may go to the court in order to contest the results. But I believe that beside the court, Fayulu should try to use the pressure of the street also, because the situation in Congo is not a simple situation. We have all those international players who are there, and then who want to make sure that their interests are preserved. And then certainly they put pressure on him, so that he will not contest the results. But I was glad that he contested the results. And like the friend in the studio said, we want to see the real results. And then we had the same problem also in Ivory Coast when Gbagbo was believed to have lost the election. And then the Electoral Commission will not release the result because something was fishy. I'm not saying that Gbagbo won, but we want to see clarity and transparency. And the Electoral Commission has to go beyond the mere proclamation of the results.
Now, with all that is going out, that is playing out right now, what do you think will be the likely implications in the Central African region?
Yes, of course, but there's a positive aspect in what is happening in the DRC, because Kabila wanted to stay in power, and then Kabila wanted to choose his successor, and then those two, he lost. He may still control, the political power in DRC, but the fact that Kabila lost on those two fronts is going to build a momentum, so that people can understand that if they are better organized, they can take, their destiny in their hands, and this is going to be an indication that something is happening in Africa. And then something is going to happen in Gabon, and something is going to happen in the Republic of Congo. So for us, we see like a slight positive sign in what is happening in the DRC.
All right, let's quickly go on a short break. Now you're watching Africa Today. We have more discussions when we return after this break. While it remains a case of uneasy calm and a breath of fresh air in the political space in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the same can't be said for Gabon and Sudan. Well, 2019 starts on a hopeful note where it is one seat-tight leader out and perhaps a few more to go in the coming elections. Now, Cyril, we just heard the points of Gnaka Lagoke on what he thinks the outcome of or the implications of these elections in the DR Congo would have in the Central African region. But going forward now, we know that elections in Africa is usually plagued with reports of election irregularities, candidates often rejecting the outcome of the results, and all other stories that we know that usually comes with elections in Africa. Now, what are your thoughts on this underlying trend and what it has? What it tends to be, or what it tends to be for our political landscape in general.
I think that between 2015 and 2017, we had a watershed. It happened in Sierra Leone, it happened in Nigeria, it happened in Liberia, where opposition people won elections. Jonathan handed power over to Buhari. If you went to Liberia, it was elections essentially to George Weah, different parties. If you went to Sierra Leone, it was, the same thing happened.
Right.
Yes, and it's possible because you see, when politics is delivering the goods, people are making it happen. When it is not delivering the goods, people are also making it happen. And looking at Congo, all hope is not lost. What the law says, within 48 hours, you must file an appeal. Fayulu has done that. Within 7 days, the court will take 7 days to sit down and deliberate. The judges, okay? That will happen. Now, there are about 3 likely scenarios, okay? 1 is to cancel the vote. 2 is to order a rerun, a recount. And then 3rd is to uphold or strike out the case as the case may be. But what I think should happen is that should the court order a recount of the ballot, it should be done as transparently as possible. The bone of contention, I must say, look, this is a country that has had a very checkered history of assassinations. Kabila's father was assassinated. The same thing happened to the first president, Patrice Lumumba, and so on. They have not had a taste of what democracy really should be. They have had a string of strong men and wars. And so I think for them to have a proper taste of democracy and freedom, it is important that the judiciary at this time steps in to do the needful. As they did in Kenya, the judges could well order a recount. If the explanation given by the Electoral Commission is not satisfactory, the UN should send its reps.
Right.
Perhaps the EU should send its reps.
Okay.
Perhaps the AU should also send its reps. I think is it IGAD also the body in South Africa should also send its reps. Let there be a very transparent recount procedure, so that at that point whoever wins or loses will not have any last trust to hold on to. Right now, like Lagoke rightly pointed out, what Fayulu has going for him is street power. But this is a country where Ebola is back. This is a country where, people have just known that the only way they can get their voices heard is when they take up arms against the state or against specific enemies. Okay. And so instead of making tensions to rise them more,
absolutely,
the court should step in and do what is needful. Okay. If they order a recount, it should be done as transparent as possible.
Now, in as much as the court needs to do a lot in terms of ensuring that the votes really count for the masses, what about all your projections now for election conduct in African countries in general? Do you think perhaps we are going to get it right in 2019? What are your projections?
Well, I do not know if the African Union is working on any policy framework, for instance, to see how they can also encourage other countries, to toe the path of maturity that Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Liberia, and so on have told. West Africa seems to be taking the leap. I think that from the West, if it spreads to Central Africa, it will be most welcome. What we need to do is that, look, perhaps the AU or even Nigeria, the big brother of Africa, I am not aware what strong case they're making. France said they disputed the results. The Catholic Church said they disputed the results. The UN also is calling for people to refrain from violence. Why are the reactions coming from outside more than they're coming from? The pressure should be felt from within the more. So I think that it must begin by speaking up.
Okay.
We must be able to speak up more. We must be able to put more pressure internally. We must be able to look, when you realize that your neighbors are not going to support you in your scheme, it means that you're going to be isolated. Isolated how? Within you. Nobody likes that. It brings a lot of discomfort to know that those who are surrounding you are not participating in what you want to do. And so if we put that pressure on the Congo, it is going to go along. But like Lagoke said, a lot of these voices that we are hearing are mostly the voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. We do not know who is doing what. But we need to give Congo a chance.
Okay.
If we did that, whoever is best, Tshisekedi, El Shaddari, Fayul, whoever wins should win neatly.
Fair and square.
Fair and square.
Right.
There should be no hand of Esau and voice of Jacob trying to make things happen otherwise.
Let's not go biblical now,
yes.
but let's quickly just turn the tangent of Gnaka Lagoke on this issue. Now, what factors now do you think must be considered now in reshaping the electoral process in any given society?
Oh yes. Again, my friend in the studio is very brilliant, and he said it all. When he was talking about Sierra Leone, he was talking about Ghana and in Nigeria, and then we can even add Burkina Faso. We can add Benin. So there is a new trend in Africa. So we see that people are more engaged in the political electoral process. And then people want their voices heard, and then though the incumbent leaders have difficulties, to rig the elections, some are still successful, but we see that Africa is changing and Africa is going into the right direction. So that's why what we see in the DRC, maybe Tshisekedi is going to be confirmed as the president, but he knows that his political leverage is going to be weak because of the condition in which he came to power. So we have the election coming in Nigeria, and a very important election for the entire continent of Africa. Anything that happens in Nigeria touches the entire continent. So we are hopeful that the election is going to be done in transparency, that Buhari is going to do the thing the right way. So that Nigeria can send another positive signal to the continent of Africa and to the entire world. But I don't think that there will be many problems in South Africa because they're going to have an election there and this year, and then so the problem, we want to know if the ANC is going to have the 2/3 of the votes in the parliament. So that's an issue. So we'll be watching that. So my point is that there's a new Africa that's being born, and then the Pan-African movement is on the rise, and then the political consciousness is gaining momentum, and then we need to be engaged, all of us, so that we can write a new chapter, for the continent of Africa.
And aside from the people being involved now in the electoral process altogether, what about the institutions that is part of the machinery in ensuring that these elections, when conducted, are accepted by all? What do you say about how we can strengthen our institutions?
Yes, I know. People have this conversation, and then Obama popularized it, and then people talking about strong men versus strong institutions. But today, we are in the U.S. America is seen as the best democracy on earth, but we see what Donald Trump is doing. So people have to understand that even if we build strong institutions, one individual when it takes power, if the people are not watching and the people are not trying to control him, that person, even if in America, even if it in Germany, in the case of Hitler, Germany had strong institutions. Hitler came, and people were distracted. Maybe they thought that what he was doing was right, and he took the entire world on the brink of collapse. Same thing here in America. Even though America has strong institutions, because of the way Donald Trump sees things, we can see that right now America is not at peace, and then the world is not at peace. So yes, I am for strong institutions, but I think that we as individuals, we need to elevate our humanity. That's why I talk about, the values of Ubuntu. When we elevate our humanness as individuals, and then tomorrow, when we lead, those institutions, the institution can be the reflection of the beauty of our souls. For me, this is what I would say about the question that you just asked.
Right. Well, it's Gnaka Lagoke, all the way from United States. Thank you very much for your insights on the show tonight. And I also like to thank my guest in the studio, Cyril Abaku, African Affairs Analyst. It's a pleasure. As always, to have your thoughts on the show.
Thank you.
Well, it's less than 2 weeks into the new year, amidst hopes and expectations, as millions across Africa brace up for major political high points and upsets, most of which will have far-reaching impacts on the continent's outlook going forward. Well, 2019 comes with another opportunity to thrive as a continent, prosper as a nation, and succeed as individuals. But politics, power, and policies must meet halfway to inspire the necessary actions for positive change. Well, that is our package for tonight, but don't forget to join the conversation as usual on Twitter @TVCNewsNG and follow me for updates around Africa at Esther TVC News. Until the next one again, I am Esther Omokwariola, and always remember, Africa can only get better.